Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Adults Health and Housing Cabinet Member meeting for Wednesday, the 19th of August 2020 at 11:30 p.m. Do we have any apologies?
No apologies, Councillor.
I have apologies from Jeremy Mason.
Right.
If they could be noted.
Yes.
Item 2, late items. There are no late items to be introduced. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest?
No.
And in that case, can we move on to the minutes of the meeting held on the 29th of July, and can I confirm those as a true record? Okay, I'll take silence as yes. In that case, can we move on to item 5, which is consent to consult on the new private housing renewal policy? And I believe, Ian, that you are introducing this item.
Well, thank you, Roy. I've actually asked Martin Brown, whose team has led on this, if he could introduce this item, if that's okay with yourself.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Morning, councillors. Martin Brown. This item is to seek consent to consult on an updated private sector housing renewal policy and for approval of the consultation plan, which is which appears at Appendix 1. The private sector housing renewal policy lays out proposals for improvement to existing private sector housing within the city and the related support for vulnerable people that often live in that accommodation. The draft policy has been circulated internally for comment, and those comments are and have been incorporated into the final document that will be consulted upon. But as I say, this item is to request permission to consult and to approve the consultation plan. The consultation plan, as I say, appears at Appendix 1. It's the normal consultation process that our consultations and communications team utilise for such consultations, and it includes your city, your say, and so on. Hopefully you've seen that and you don't want me to talk through that in any particular detail?
No, if you carry on to the main document, Martin.
Onto the housing renewal policy itself.
Yes, please.
Okay. They say that the purpose of that is to look at ways where we can promote, encourage, and where necessary, enforce the improvement of private housing stock, and with particular emphasis on private rented housing stock, where we know some of our most vulnerable people live. There's a range of different interventions. Unfortunately, there's not an awful lot of central government that money comes into this work area now. So some of the older sort of big group repair schemes and the things that we might have done are no longer available. But the policy does make clear that as and when opportunities open, we as a council will look to try and maximise the benefit of that for landlords, residents in Derby. And an example of that at the moment would be the government's recent initiative around green grants. That has opened up as an opportunity even since this was drafted, and we are working on a bid into that funding, which would obviously increase the opportunities for people to improve the energy efficiency of their homes. And that's sort of two streams as well. There's one where we can do a lot of promotion work in certain areas to try and get people to take up the green grant opportunity themselves through accredited providers. But there's also a local authority delivered element as well, and Derby Homes and our City Energy Saving Project team are working together on a grant application for that, and then we'll be promoting and delivering that locally as well. I don't know how much detail you want me to go through specifically, Councillor, on the policy itself.
If you can just give an overview of the policy as it's going out to consultation. If I agree to it, then people will have the opportunity to read through the document in detail. So just for the record, if you could do a brief overview.
Yeah, okay. Well, we run through, or the document, sorry, runs through a number of initiatives that we are able to deliver as a council. So examples would be obviously disabled facilities grants and our very, very popular, very effective Healthy Housing Hub, where they're working with very vulnerable people living in poor housing conditions, assisting with hospital discharges, and so on. Then there's also projects like our DASH, Decent and Safe Homes project, who are working on accreditation schemes and supporting homeless related initiatives such as Call Before You Serve. Housing standards team is another area that's clearly covered, because as much as we work hard to promote and encourage the improvement of housing stock, and we have some very good relationships with a number of our landlords and with local landlord forums, there are obviously, unfortunately, some people who don't engage voluntarily, and the council needs to pursue a statutory enforcement option to get those properties improved, which the Housing Standards team has been doing very effectively in the last few years. Empty homes is a key work area as well, which the council have put additional resource into over the last couple of years to try and ensure that we're best maximising the use of our private sector stock by reducing the number of long-term empty homes. And again, that's two-stranded. We have a lot of support, advice and assistance and encouragement that we can offer for owners of empty properties to bring them back into use. But equally, there are some who won't take up those options, and we make use of related enforcement powers again. And one of the ones that members and media have covered quite significantly over the years has been our compulsory purchase programme, and the success in getting some very problematic long-term empty properties returned to use. And that's double-stranded again, in that it brings a property back into occupation and allows a much-needed home for people who may not otherwise have a home, but it also helps tackle some of the antisocial behaviour problems that typically become attracted to that sort of property when it's uncared for and unmanaged and often open to access, but also helps recover council debt as well, because those sorts of properties often haven't been paying council tax as they should have been. So it helps the council maximise its income, both through the debt recovery aspect and also through maximising income through the government's New Homes Bonus scheme. There's we managed to do a stock condition survey last year, which has helped inform this across the broader private sector housing stock. But we've also been successful in gaining funding this year to do a much more deep dive into conditions within the private rented stock across the city. We've received funding to do a detailed desktop survey exercise around available data that will help give us a very good evidence base around the status of the private rented sector in Derby. We were also successful in winning funding from MHCLG for a physical survey of the private rented stock, which would have been, and we hope still will be, really helpful in better informing the desktop exercise. But the physical survey was due to commence, I think the week before we went into lockdown. So obviously that had to be put on hold. At the moment, we still have that funding, and we're hopeful that we will be able to kick that project off again as we move through the year, but obviously we'll have to see how things develop on COVID. But the detailed development this year of an evidence base will provide the council with real knowledge about future interventions into private rented sector, and that's key, because a lot of actions that the council may wish to take going forward need government clearance, and for government to clear them they need to see a sound evidence base, and they need to see that the intervention strategies are informed by that evidence base. An example of that, for example, could be selective licensing. Might be something that the council would want to consider in future with regard to private rented sector, either within specific areas or more broadly. But again, in general, that needs government approval, and will only have a chance of receiving that approval if an evidence base is seen to have been established.
Thank you very much. Can I be assured that all of this consultation document fits in with our council plans and strategies across the city, so that all of this is wholly joined up with our health and well-being strategy and all the other strategies across the council?
Yes, we have identified the strategies that it needs to be consistent with, and we've checked that. The good thing about the health side, and personally I'm really interested in the health and housing aspects, and the stock condition work that we did last year and the private rented work, stock work that we're doing this year, are all led through our public health section. So there's really strong, good links. Both sets of work have been carried out by public health analysts on our behalf. We're also working really closely with county on a joint housing and health board led by Director of Public Health at Derbyshire County. And that group has also jointly funded a detailed health impact assessment to be produced jointly by Derbyshire and Derby Directors of Public Health towards the end of this financial year.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Khan, do you have any comments or questions before I make a decision on this?
No, Roy's, I think Martin's explained it, has given us an oversight into it, and I can't see anything that I'd like to add or subtract from it.
Okay, thank you very much. In that case then, subject to me seeing the final document before it goes to consultation, I will allow it to go out to consultation. Can I thank you very much for your input, Martin?
Thank you.
Can you please give me a chance to have a look at it as well, Roy, when you get it?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other business that I'm allowed to transact on this meeting, Lindsay?
No, that's all, Councillor Webb. That's
In
it.
that case, can I thank you all for your attendance and close the meeting?
Yeah, tell Ian to get a better